It really is tough to get to this moment. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. I do feel a lot different this time, this go around, 2 years later. I'm excited for the opportunity for us to get the job done.
We did it!
The Boston Celtics have been one of the greatest franchises in NBA history. Their rise to becoming the legendary team was due to major success of Bill Russell. He won 11 championships with the franchise, and the Celtics were held to a high regard as a franchise that was all about winning. Even after Bill Russell's retirement, Boston would go on to win 2 more championships in the 70s with John Havlicek, JoJo White, and David Cohen. Then this franchise would become even more of a household name when they drafted Larry Bird, and he would lead the Celtics to 3 championships and have one of the greatest battles with the Los Angeles Lakers and Magic Johnson. This was the greatest rivalry in NBA history, and it was definitely one of the best parts about being in the 1980s at the time. But unfortunately, Larry Bird's injuries would pile on, and the Celtics would go on from a prized franchise to a rebuilding team. And fast forward a couple of years later, the Celtics would gain their next star in Paul Pierce. While the team would have chances to win another title, he was not enough to get Boston to the promised land. But then he was granted 2 players that would get him there. The Celtics would gain Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett to form a big 3 that was the birth of the first try at a super team. They were now in position to win a championship during the 2008 season, as they had one of the best regular season campaigns in franchise history. In the playoffs, Boston would manage to make it all the way to the NBA Finals for the first time in a very long time, even though they had a few bumps in the road, especially from a young and up-and-coming star in LeBron James, who almost single-handedly beat the Celtics in Game 7. But in the finals, we would get another rivalry matchup of the LA Lakers versus Boston, and Kobe Bryant was determined to finally win his first championship since the departure of Shaquille O'Neal, as he went on to have an MVP caliber season and needed this title to help boost his legacy. But the Celtics, when the time came, had other plans.
Rondo to Pierce, Pierce for 3, bang! Drive, gets to the basket, lefty layup, banks it in.
Contested 2-point jump shot.
Allen hits a 3. Ray Allen nails one for 3. Back of the rim, Garnett on the slam, followed. 8-point lead for the Celtics. Just back in the game, shoots over Fisher, knocks it down. Pierce on the drive, tough shot in the hand in his face, he puts it in. Sit out, Posey for 3. That's good. James Posey from downtown. Pierce to Posey, Posey for 3, knocks it down. Pierce to Garnett, Garnett inside, banks it in, and a foul. What a play from Kevin Garnett. 10, out to Ray Allen, good look for 3, it's good. Celtics pouring it on, a 27-point lead. After a 22-year absence, the Boston Celtics are NBA champions once again. The greatest single-season turnaround in NBA history is complete.
Man, I'm so hyped right now. Anything's possible. Anything's possible! I made it, man! Top of the world! Top of the world!
The Celtics would get their 17th championship, and once again we're back on the mountaintop after beating their rivals. At that point, we were fully convinced that we had a future dynasty on our hands, and that Boston would win many more championships for years to come. They had Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen as their cornerstones, but unfortunately, we were sadly mistaken. The next couple of years would be the slow decline of the Big 3 Celtics. 2009 would be the first of it, where we would see Kevin Garnett suffer a season-ending injury, even though it was on a regular play, but his bone spur in his knee would cause him to be out, and they were without their best player on the team. The Celtics, however, did manage to win 60-plus games again. Ray Allen and Paul Pierce were still the best players on the team, and Rajon Rondo was becoming a rising guard for the Celtics as well, inserting himself as one of the best players on the team. But unfortunately, Boston would miss their chances at repeating, as they would lose in the second round against the Orlando Magic, who would eventually face Kobe in the finals and lose to them in 5 games. So the Celtics possibly could have been in another rematch situation with the Lakers, and maybe even given them a chance at beating them. But the following year for the Celtics, they were surprisingly able to still be one of the best teams in the NBA and the Eastern Conference, despite the fact that Allen, Garnett, and Paul Pierce were aging. Rondo was continuing to develop as an all-star caliber guard, making himself the 4th member of the Celtics franchise players. Boston would head all the way back to the NBA Finals and face off against the Lakers in a rematch. This would be a grueling 7-game series as both teams really wanted this championship, and either team had a chance. And in Game 7, it would be a close affair, and the Celtics would have a lead in the fourth quarter that would evaporate, and the Lakers would manage to stun the Celtics, beating them in 7.
The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles. The LA Lakers, the 2010 NBA champions.
Winner of the Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP is none other than Kobe Bryant.
Very disappointed about the outcome. I think the guys really fought their hearts off. Game 7, obviously, playing for the championship. And, I know none of you guys in here gave us any, gave us a chance, and that's cool. At the end of the day, we knew we was capable of. So it wasn't no surprise to what we did, but, we're a gritty team, and we're going to fight to the end. And tonight we just came up short.
Boston would try to recover, and they were never able to make it back to the NBA Finals, as a new team in the East emerged as the new villains of the NBA. The Miami Heat would dismantle the Celtics in both 2011 and 2012, as they had no answer for LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, and they were just not the team that they used to be anymore, and their championship window was now closed. The Big Four would disband, and Ray Allen would be the first to go, as he was someone that grew tired with the organization, with him being involved in trades, having shouting matches with Rajon Rondo, and his role being the one that took the biggest hit on the team. He would join the Miami Heat and would be completely shunned by the Celtics. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce would then be the next ones to leave in a crazy trade made by Danny Ainge that would send them to the Nets in a huge package that would grant them a ton of picks. A move that would be deemed very risky by Danny Ainge, but also potentially franchise-breaking. Boston was now left with Rajon Rondo, and he was the one flying solo, and the Celtics were clearly in their rebuilding stages, and they would remain that way for the next couple of seasons. During that time, Boston would gain some draft picks that would help them in the future, with one of them being Marcus Smart in the 2014 NBA draft. But the general management would decide to clean house with the old and do a complete do-over with their identity, with trading Rajon Rondo to the Dallas Mavericks, and they would gain a young guard in Isaiah Thomas from the Phoenix Suns, who no one really considered to be a star guard for any team. But Isaiah Thomas would become the new leader of the Celtics and would help lead this team alongside Avery Bradley and Jay Crowder to get a spot at the 8th seed for the NBA playoffs. The city of Boston was now granted their next star player in Isaiah Thomas. And although they would be swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers, the next season the Celtics would once again make it to the playoffs with IT as their leader, and he would have an all-star breakout year for the first time in his career. But yet again, the Celtics would get knocked out of the first round to the Atlanta Hawks in 6 games, so now there were questions on what were the Celtics going to do to get back to the NBA Finals. But Boston had yet a ton of optimism for the future. They were able to get Al Horford in the offseason, which would improve their roster, as he was an all-star caliber center. But the 2017 season, we'd see Isaiah Thomas become a superstar, and he would be dubbed as the king of the fourth quarter.
Thomas on the drive, pull-up jumper, it's good! Isaiah Thomas gives the Celtics the lead with 2.4 remaining. They go all the way to the goal. Oh! It's blocked from behind.
Checks the clock, gets it to Isaiah. Deep 3. Oh! Takes him to the basket. Fall away baseline. Got it!
Due to his heroics, the Celtics would finish as the first seed in the Eastern Conference, and they looked to be in solid shape to possibly win another championship. But unfortunately for him, he would be hit with devastating news. Isaiah Thomas's sister would sadly pass away in a car accident, and it would affect him deeply before the first game of the NBA playoffs. And the last thing that he could think about was basketball. But he would power through it due to the support of Boston, and he would find the strength to push forward and play in the memory of his sister.
Isaiah Thomas. As Thomas is fouled again. Here's Thomas. Gets himself free in the lane. And a little floater. Up on the switch. Thomas, the hesitation, drives inside. Layup is...
Thomas, high screen from Smart. Wall got picked. Thomas to the hoop. It's good and a foul. Thomas crosses. Foul called. And one. The top couldn't follow it. Up top. Thomas to Johnson.
Launching another 3. IT!
Celtics imposing their will. 15-2 extended run. Isaiah Thomas!
Where is this coming from, man? Where is this coming from?
I do everything for my sister now, and that's all I can do.
They would make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they would face off against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And although the Celtics were the #1 seed, they were no match for the Cavs, who would completely annihilate them in 5 games. Especially after Game 2, where Isaiah Thomas would injure his hip that would sideline him for the rest of the playoffs, ending their Cinderella run. But many had hoped that the Celtics would be back, and they made changes in the offseason. They would move Avery Bradley to the Pistons, and they would sign Gordon Hayward, who was an all-star that year for the Utah Jazz, which would give Boston a better second scoring option. So now the Celtics had Isaiah Thomas and Gordon Hayward as the new duo. But then something unexpected happened.
Kyrie no longer wants to play with LeBron. Why not?
Kyrie Irving doesn't want to be LeBron James' little brother. He doesn't want to be LeBron James' sidekick, and he doesn't want to play for an organization in the Cleveland Cavaliers who would evolve everything around a guy that's going to, in all likelihood, leave after next season.
And the Celtics were a team that were on the hunt for him, and considering Isaiah Thomas was recovering from a bad hip injury, there seemed to be a chance that he would possibly be moved for Kyrie. And on August 30th, we would see that come true.
Michael Lee's back here with you on SportsCenter, continuing our breaking news coverage of a potential trade between the Celtics and the Cavs. Kyrie Irving going to Boston, Isaiah Thomas going to Cleveland, along with some other players and a draft pick.
But the Celtics did not stop improving. Because remember those picks that they got in the Nets trade all those years ago? Well, one of those picks actually turned into a young athletic player in Jaylen Brown in the 2016 draft as a 3rd pick. He didn't have the greatest rookie year, but he showed a ton of promise and potential. And then the very next season in the 2017 draft, they would get another 3rd overall pick with Jayson Tatum, who was a star player at Duke University, and he seemed to be another great scorer for the Boston Celtics. So now they had the potential to be even better than they were the season prior and finally get themselves in NBA Finals contention. But the bad luck for the Celtics would not stop, as Gordon Hayward in the first game of the season had one of the most gruesome injuries ever and would be out for the remainder of the season. But with the loss of Hayward, that would not face Boston at all, as they would have one of the best seasons as a team. We would see Kyrie step in as the #1 option. Tatum and Brown were great contributors. Al Horford was still an all-star caliber center, and the Celtics would make their presence felt throughout the NBA. But then the honeymoon phase would start to sizzle out, due to Kyrie's knee giving him major issues that would result in him getting season-ending surgery. And now the Celtics were without their leader and their best player, and at the worst time as well, as they were heading into the NBA playoffs. But the crazy thing is, the Celtics actually were able to have a great run without Kyrie. In the first round, they faced off against the Bucks, who had Giannis in his first breakout year as a star player, and we would see Terry Rozier, who was a guard no one really paid attention to, give the Bucks problems as he was the hero for that series, and the Celtics would beat the Bucks in 7 games and move on to play the Sixers in the second round. A team that had Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons as the young rising duo, and many believed the Sixers to be the favorites in the series, as this is where the Celtics would meet their match, as they had no chance without Kyrie to beat this deep roster. But we were proven wrong once again. The Sixers would lose in 5 games, and we were stunned as Jayson Tatum would be the standout in that series, torching the Sixers defense, and the Celtics as a team were just hungrier and proved despite their age, they were competitive. So they were now in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they were facing off against LeBron James. No, seriously, they were actually just facing off against LeBron James. That Cavs team was terrible. So this was Boston's biggest challenge, and they actually showed no fear against him because they were able to go up 2-0 in this series. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum were hitting the Cavs where it hurt, and they looked to be the favorites in this series. And it seemed that the Cavs had no chance, especially since the Celtics were undefeated when they were up 2-0 in a playoff series. Then LeBron James happened.
And welcome everyone to Cleveland for Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's desperation time for the Cavaliers, where LeBron James coming off a 42-point triple-double, and he's down 0-2 in an Eastern Conference playoff series for the first time in 10 years. Then Baines goes inside, blocked by James. Down, James pulls up three-pointer, knocks it down. Playoffs, it's an amazing transformation. James inside to Thompson, defensively. LeBron James, his first shot of the night. James tries, scoop layup and a foul. James goes at him, pulls back, it's in the paint, one-handed shot, bounces around and drops through with a soft touch. On an island right now with James.
James measures, now steps back, jump shot's good. 13 points here in the second quarter. James for three. Tatum on him once again. Drives the runner off the glass, banks it home. Jrue blocked by James. James drives, steps back, puts up a three. Bang! Game of these playoffs. Steps, tries it again, puts it in! As the shot clock expires, LeBron James with 44. Back to Michelle and welcome to Boston, a city that has had its share. It's the Boston Celtics going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Celtics have been perfect at home. The court players are slipping. James drives, layup, count it, and one on Horford. Swings it in the corner. J.R. Smith is open. That's good. James between the legs. Drives, continues off balance, banks it home. On one break for Boston. Rozier to the basket. Oh, blocked by James. He did it again. The momentum has changed. James in the open floor. James grabbed from behind. Count it. Goaltend and one. And it's up to 9 with 1:04 remaining.
LeBron James single-handedly took over for the rest of the series, and even with the Celtics giving them a scare in Game 7, especially with Tatum who had the play of the game, their youth would come in and show that while they were talented, LeBron had the experience. So the Celtics, despite their loss in the Eastern Conference Finals, they were not on a decline. Rather, their expectations were higher than ever. Kyrie would announce in Boston that he intended on signing back to the team in 2019. So they were now touted as the best team in the East and expected to win the NBA championship. But everything is not what it seems, because the 2019 season would be a disaster. Kyrie would be very distant from the team as he was not 100% sure about his decision to be with the Celtics. Rozier, Tatum, and Brown, after the playoff run, wanted a more improved role, and they felt because Kyrie was gone for the entire 2018 playoffs, they felt that they were entitled to a lot more than they were given. Gordon Hayward was a shell of himself after the injury, and Brad Stevens was unable to keep their egos in check and have them run as a collective group. This was just a bad mix all year, and in the playoffs, it would not improve. They would lose in the second round to the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Celtics would get knocked out in 5 games. And Kyrie looked to be mentally checked out, and he had a very disappointing series. So Kyrie went from being the most loved guy in the city of Boston to now public enemy number 1, and he would indeed leave the Celtics in the offseason to join Kevin Durant in the Brooklyn Nets. So to help fill the void of losing Kyrie Irving, they would get Kemba Walker, who was still able to produce great numbers, but it was very clear that we were in a new era in Boston. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown were now the best players of the team and future leaders, and the city was looking to them to bring them home another title. The 2020 season was a step up from their previous year. Tatum was now an all-star, and he played like one, improving his game and having shown signs of superstar potential. And the rest of the team was playing a lot better, and it looked to be something special with this group. The unfortunate downside was that COVID would abruptly shut the season down, and the Celtics' momentum would be halted until the NBA restarted in the bubble, and it would bring everything back, and the Celtics would finish as the 3rd seed in the East. In the first round of the playoffs, it would be a rematch against the 76ers, but Joel Embiid was without his co-star Ben Simmons, and this series was pretty much a one-sided affair, as this would be a sweep. The second round, however, would be against the defending champs, the Toronto Raptors, and this would be a tougher series. The Celtics managed to go up 2-0 and show that they had what it took to take this series over. But OG Anunoby would save the Raptors, and they battled back in this series even without Kawhi on the team. They proved that they could still contend for a title. And this went to a Game 7 that was tight till the end of the game, and Boston would prevail, bringing them to the 3rd Eastern Conference Finals in 4 years. Their next opponent was Miami, and this was a team no one expected to even reach the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone have a chance at winning the finals at all. So the expectations were slim, but the shock to us was the Heat would outplay the Celtics and beat them in 6 games. The Celtics did what they could, but the Heat as a collective group managed to prove everyone wrong and move on to the NBA Finals. With the Celtics failing to reach the NBA Finals again, it was definitely a disappointment, but the signs were getting a lot stronger. The following year would be a season of a lot of unexpected events. What remained the same was the consistency of the Celtics, and with the season being shorter, it was indeed a race for the title even more. But the bump in the road came with Jaylen Brown suffering a season-ending injury that would really hurt the Celtics and cause them to go all the way down to the 7th seed, to be the unfortunate victims of facing off against the Brooklyn Nets that had James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant in the first round of the playoffs. The Nets would easily dispose the Celtics in 5 games, and the only reason it went to 5 was because Jayson Tatum had a masterclass in Game 3, and to make matters worse, Kyrie would give the fans a goodbye gift for them being eliminated in the playoffs. So Boston had a lot of changes they needed to make to get better as a team, and one of them was getting Brad Stevens off the coaching staff and bringing him up to the general management, and hiring Ime Udoka, who would be very helpful in the season. But initially, this team was very appalling to start the season, as they were one of the more underwhelming teams in the East. They had a negative record entering the All-Star break, but they would bring in another asset named Derrick White. Guys like Robert Williams and Grant Williams would be great pieces, especially Rob Will, who was their best interior defender. They were the second best defensive team in the NBA, and that helped turn their season around and propel them to the 2nd seed in the East, which also resulted in Marcus Smart winning the Defensive Player of the Year. So the Celtics now had the confidence to go deep in the playoffs for a championship, with their first round matchup being a rematch against Brooklyn, and this was a personal one for obvious reasons. And the Celtics would get their revenge, destroying KD and Kyrie in 4 games and making a fool out of anyone who had Brooklyn winning this series. Their next opponent, once again, the Milwaukee Bucks, with the best player in the league, Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he was unfortunately without his co-pilot Chris Middleton, so the Celtics had an advantage. But this would be a series that was evenly matched, and the Bucks and Celtics gave each other problems left and right. The deciding Game 5 would be neck and neck, and Jrue Holiday would become the hero of the game. So Boston was now down 3-2 in the series, and with the closeout game being in Milwaukee, someone had to step up and save them from being eliminated. Luckily for them, their savior was none other than Jayson Tatum.
Right into Grayson Allen. Tatum launches a 3, puts it in. Jayson Tatum with his second 3-pointer. Get it, 4 on the 24. Tatum spins, layup, bank shot, it's good. Jayson Tatum putting on a show. Tatum gets to his spot, nails another 3. He's 4 for 4 from downtown. Mark looking, Tatum catches, Tatum shoots, Tatum scores as the shot clock expires. Tatum on the drive, lays it in, and the foul. Tatum tried to slam it, somebody got a piece of it, and Jayson Tatum with a chance for a 3-point play.
His heroics would force a Game 7 in Boston, where we would see Grant Williams have the best game of his life, killing Milwaukee, and they could not recover after the loss of Chris Middleton. So now they were once again in the Eastern Conference Finals, with their rematch being against the Miami Heat, and this would be an all-out brawl. Jimmy Butler was carrying the Heat to try and make their second NBA Finals, and he was having a superb series, but Tatum and the rest of the team were not backing down, and would win Game 7 despite almost having a scare in the final seconds of the game. But at long last, they were in the NBA Finals. After all this time, they had a chance to stamp their name in the history books. Their final opponent would be none other than Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and Curry especially was on the hunt to win his first Finals MVP post KD departing. This sounds oddly similar to another Celtics Finals series. Was history going to repeat itself? We would soon find out, as in Game 1, Steph started out strong, taking over the first half of the game, and the Warriors had a large lead. The Celtics were struggling, especially Jayson Tatum, but Jaylen Brown, Derrick White, and Al Horford would dominate in the second half and come back to win the first game of the series. Game 2 would be the opposite. The Warriors would respond and give the Celtics a beatdown to tie the series, but in Game 3, the Celtics returned the favor and took advantage of the Warriors and Curry and the small ball lineup that they had, and take the game up 2-1 in the series. And now they had a chance of going up 3-1 in Game 4. This was the game the Celtics needed to gain the momentum and finally take home the trophy. But we would see one of the greatest performances in Finals history.
Curry, another long distance shot. It's good. Steph Curry, back-to-back long distance. Curry, it's good. Steph Curry from downtown. Shots. Curry again. Oh, Steph Curry from way downtown. Back to Curry. Step back, 3-pointer. Bang! The NBA Finals are tied at 2 games apiece.
43 points to tie this series, and Boston was stunned. It completely ruined them mentally, and after that game, it only got worse.
Have to take a look at that. Oh, what a fake from Draymond Green. Wiggins, super aggressive right there. Gets inside. Shot is good. And a foul. Right on cue. The shot off. Wiggins to Poole. Poole gets it off in time. Oh, he banks it in. banks it in. They count it as the buzzer sounds. Dotson finds some room, puts it in. Wiggins drives and finishes! Exclamation point! Three-pointer right side is good. Curry sees some room. Curry sidestep. Curry along three. That's good! Steph Curry from way downtown. Some Curry chaos here in the third. Curry gets it. Fakes. Fires three-pointer. Bang! Steph Curry from downtown. A 15-point lead. The emotion just pouring out. It might be his fourth, but it means so much. It's over. The Golden State Warriors return to a familiar place. They're on top of the NBA world. The fourth title in 8 years. The Dubs dynasty is still very much alive.
Tatum had no answer, Jaylen Brown had no answer, none of them had any answers for Golden State. And they showed once again that they were a force to be reckoned with and that experience outshined youth. The Celtics blew their chance of winning the NBA Finals and people were not happy.
Boston has given away the last 2 damn games. Yeah. They've given it away. I saw Boston quit, KP. That was shocking to me.
Jayson Tatum deserves a majority of that blame. You were first team All-NBA. You were an NBA All-Star. It's zero excuses. Andrew Wiggins snatched his soul last night.
And they were done giving them chances. And Boston needed to redeem themselves and get their honor back. But the Celtics had a change in scenery for the coach as Ime Udoka was fired for reasons I'm not going to explain, but to say a long story short, the man was indeed horny. But they would then hire Joe Mazzulla as their interim coach, and many people had their doubts, but they just wanted to see the Celtics win the NBA championship. The 2023 season was all about bouncing back, and they would once again show their dominance throughout the season, but at this point, people did not care. And they were tired of not getting results. This team proved that they can get to the NBA Finals, so now they needed to win. The Celtics would play the Hawks in the first round, and Trae Young would surprisingly put up a fight and give the Celtics problems. Although they lost in 6 and the Boston Celtics advanced, they had no business being that close in the first place. Then their second round matchup was round 3 of the Sixers and Celtics rivalry, and Embiid was looking to finally make it to the Eastern Conference Finals as this was his MVP season, and he had James Harden as his teammates who looked to be a better option. And James Harden would show out and give the Sixers a chance at beating them this time. They would manage to go up 3-2, and in Game 6, they were so close to beating Boston. But Jayson Tatum would have a fourth quarter masterclass, forcing a Game 7 as he was refusing to lose despite him having struggles in that game, and bring it back to their court for a sudden death Game 7, where we'd see Tatum have the best Game 7 performance in NBA history with 51 points, blowing the Sixers out and making it another Eastern Conference Finals series for another third round matchup of Miami versus Boston, who wanted revenge after the 2022 Conference Finals, and they ran through a gauntlet to get to this point as the 8th seed, looking to make history as the first 8th seeded team to win an NBA championship. And Miami took advantage, and Jimmy Butler would straight up toy with the Boston Celtics for 3 straight games, and he would embarrass them and make Boston look like an afterthought, and the outside noise was getting louder and louder.
And what I'm seeing in the Miami Heat series is what Jimmy and Bam is doing and what Tatum and Brown are not doing.
Now all of a sudden, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, your 2 big horses aren't running. Now it's Joe Mazzulla's fault.
I don't think there has ever been a time where I've seen the Boston Celtics and I felt they got their hearts snatched out their chest.
You feel good about tonight? I feel very good about tonight. Don't let us get one. Just don't let us get one. So don't let us get
Kevin Millar? I just heard Marcus quote Kevin Millar, don't let us get one. Is that the attitude here?
Oh, for sure. Don't let us get one.
Tatum dancing on top with Strus. The move, the floater on 3, Smart, good!
Particularly on that right side of the floor.
Grant Williams, 3 in the corner. Got it!
Test that shot.
Out to Smart, who launches the triple. Big win, avoiding elimination, as they outscore Miami 66-43 and keep this series extending. Boston. It's Smart for the triple. Again, another offensive rebound. Outside Tatum triple. Hard screen. Look at that. Put in by Tatum. Tatum with the ball. Strus will defend. The move, and Hauser from way outside with a 3.
that you found your way. Is there any stopping you?
We had a great team win. We hit shots, and they let us get two. So don't let us get another one.
Butler drives, foul. Horford will pick it up. Miami to tie. We got the two most important. It's off to Smart for the 7th game. Tremendous tipped in, but what a finish to this game.
Stunned. People here are absolutely stunned.
They found a way to force a Game 7 and had a chance to make history. This was their moment. This was their chance to win on their home floor, but this was also their game to lose.
In the lane, crashing into Vincent, and he twisted an ankle perhaps.
Vincent just a little bit late rotating over. First possession of the evening.
This was the moment that the game was sealed for the Boston Celtics. Miami would win Game 7 and get their revenge and move on to the NBA Finals, with Boston failing once again because they were one injury away from making it to the NBA Finals again. So this was the question now. Were they ever going to win the NBA Finals? Were they ever going to finally show their dominance and not play down to their competition? Or are they going to belong in a tier with teams that never got over the hump?
Kristaps Porzingis is on the move, and now I can report Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is heading to the Grizzlies.
The Celtics have acquired guard Jrue Holiday from the Blazers in a blockbuster deal one day before Media Day.
This was it. This was their final chance to win a championship with this roster. There was no room for excuses, and they knew it as well. And they played like every game would be their last. This season was one of the best in franchise history for this team, winning 64 games and dominating throughout the entire regular season. They had one of the best starting 5 lineups in the NBA, and this would be their best roster in years. You could argue that the starting lineup could all be all-stars. That was how great they were this season. However, they still had some demons to conquer. They knew what they needed to do, and this was their time to do it. And just like that, they were back in the NBA Finals. But it came with a bunch of criticism, with some that made their run look a little bit too easy.
Would you characterize this playoff run for Boston as an easy path or a dominant run?
Molly, it most definitely was an easy path for the Boston Celtics. I mean, you just look at it, it was an easy path. It wasn't a dominant path.
So if we can make a case and say if you come out of the East, you kind of dodged the bullet. I mean, you look at the Knicks got injured, you got Joel Embiid getting injured, you got Jimmy Butler getting injured, you get Donovan Mitchell missed the last 2 games of the series, and now Tyrese Halliburton goes down. Yeah. So they've kind of had an easy run of this thing, so it's hard to characterize it, Perk, when you see so many guys out.
They were now looked at as a team that had a cakewalk. But regardless of whether or not it was true, they needed to finish the job. But they had a familiar face standing in their way. Kyrie Irving was on the other side, along with Luka Doncic, who just had a legendary run to the NBA Finals, shocking the world, and were looking to make history of their own and carry on their own legacy of their predecessors. So the question was, who was going to win this series?
It's the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics, Game 1. This place is packed and it's loud as we get set for the best of 7. Porzingis gets away inside and throws it down. Leading scorer in the playoffs. What a season he's had. Brown goes inside. Porzingis way outside, knocks down another. Irving, here comes Josh Green, 1 man to beat, but it's a 7-footer who blocks it again. There's Hardaway off the bounce. Nice feed inside. Jones blocked by Brown. Throws it right back.
Attacking off the drive.
Irving shot blocked. Brown again with the rejection. Brown, 3-pointer. Puts it in. Jaylen Brown at both ends of the floor. Porzingis trying to play him physical. Another jump shot. Another bucket. Kristaps Porzingis has erupted. This is now 8 straight wins for Boston in these playoffs. They're 13-2. A great team effort at both ends. The return of Kristaps Porzingis, a huge impact. Game 2 of the NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV. Tatum drives past Irving, gets in, scoop layup. A striking difference as you would expect. And Holiday backs it in. Holiday moving Tatum off the bounce. Holiday wide open 3 in the corner, got it.
Dallas, it's the 2 guys who've got to drive it. Like Kyrie's got to come along.
Hello! Pritchard banks in the three at the buzzer. Here's Irving. Washington drives, blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derrick White. Jaylen Brown into the paint. Layup, he banks it in. The Celtics are going to take a 2-0 lead in the finals. A smothering defense here in the fourth quarter. So in game 3 of these NBA Finals back in Dallas, Texas for the first time in 13 years. Dallas Mavericks. 13-point lead. Tatum gets that to go. A three-pointer. Brown cuts, layup, and it's good. And the Celtics have their first lead of the game. Tatum, nice feed, and Brown throws it down. From Derrick White. Here's Tatum down the other end.
I don't know, countless dribbles.
Jaylen Brown with the flush. Drives, pulls up, jump shot, puts it in. And that's going to do it. The Boston Celtics are 1 win away from an NBA title. And now have a 3-0 lead here in these NBA Finals. 10 straight wins by Boston. Game 4 of the NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV. Will it be the final game of the NBA season? Game 3 had a 13-point lead in the opening minutes. Kyrie Irving gets the first bucket of the game. The first, that was huge. As Doncic gets inside. A couple of easy buckets in the paint. Looking to push. Alley-oop to Gafford. Oh, perfect connection.
You're always looking for where you can create an advantage.
It does. Throws it inside Doncic and lays it up with a foul. Kyrie Irving's hustled. And to have a game 5 in Boston on Monday night. A spectacular, dominant performance from Luka Doncic and the Mavericks.
There's some things we know, right? Teams in NBA history that go up 3-0 in a series, they're 156-0, right? From what you saw tonight, do you think the Mavs have what it takes to be one of those teams?
Of course, with Luke and Kyrie, they got a chance. Listen, the Celtics, obviously they're the favorite, been the favorite, but they have fell asleep at the wheel a few times. But man, you know, as a basketball fan, I would love to see Mavs go up to Boston and win. Game 6 back down here would be crazy.
Game 5 of the NBA Finals, a raucous sold-out TD Garden. And Doris for Dallas, can they bring that same toughness and tenacity that was so impressive the other night?
On display here, the lack of it.
Jaylen Brown comes flying in on the pass from Holiday. Stolen by Tatum. Tatum goes up and lays it up and in. Tatum gets past Lively, goes inside the layup, bank shot, it's good, and the foul. 1 of 8 to start. Horford wide open. Tatum goes inside, flips it out, Brown, three-pointer, puts it in. Horford the rebound, here's Pritchard, he loves these, puts it up half court of the buzzer, bang! Pritchard at the buzzer with a three-pointer, he's done it again! Tatum, hesitation, bank shot is good, and the foul. Tatum the drive, Tatum the finish. 27 points for Jayson Tatum. A sacrifice, handling the enormous weight of massive expectations. It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.
We did it. We did it! God, we did it!
Bill Russell would be so proud. The 2024 Bill Russell Finals MVP goes to Jaylen Brown.
They finally did it. They are now a part of history as the Celtics win their 18th championship, making them the franchise with the most titles in NBA history. The Mavs tried their best, but the Celtics from the very beginning proved they belonged here. And they sure proved long ago that they were worthy of being champions. And they finally earned it. So with this title now being theirs, how will this era of the Celtics be remembered? This franchise has been held to a high regard for many years. They were one of the teams that showed their winning ways and have had dynasties in their past. And when the Celtics were unable to win another championship post 2008, we thought it was never going to happen again. They have dealt with so much in 16 years, all of that to get right here. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Jrue Holiday and Derrick White, and Al Horford are now a part of a legacy of winners for this franchise and a part of something greater. When we look back on this era of the Celtics, we will see a team that after everything they got thrown in their way, they did not blink. And when it came time for this team to finally win a championship, they were able to win and get their long and overdue redemption.